Okay, so let's just fit this exhaust cam. I'm taking this out, and we're kind of keeping it tight at the front. I'm going to feed that in there like that, and we've got to get that that mark there flush with the top of the cylinder head. Okay. Okay, so let's get the intake cam in now. Right, okay. I think it still needs to go up there a wee bit. One more tooth. Nope. That's too high, as you can see. Well, I think it's not. Let's see. We need to have 30 pins between there and there. So let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so that's 30 pins, but we need to get these here fixed down and with the cam caps, and we'll see in a wee minute or two. So let's get all the little dials in first. Okay. These all have to go in before the cam caps go on. Okay, so now we'll put the cam caps in. As you can see here, they're numbered. That one there's, get that round there. That one there's number 1, and it has an arrow on it. So that will go on there like that. And then number 2 is, where is it? That one. You can see that. See the number 2 with the wee arrow pointing forward. So that would go on there. Okay. And so on. All right, so now the cam bolts, but I'm just nipping them up there until I mean, I'm not tightening them up or anything until they're all in, and I just double check to see if the the marks are right and the links are right, and everything, so I'm just putting these here in, and then I'll nip them, I'll nip them up and do a final torque on them as well, and you're also pushing this here over to the right a bit, so that nothing hits or clashes and everything clears. One more in here. there is a sequence to which you tighten these here up. But as I say, I'm just nipping them up here, one bit at a time, you know. Like that. And I'll just go through this whole sequence here until they're all tightened down, and I'll double check this mark here on the side to make sure, you know, that everything's as it should be, you know, nothing's misaligned or anything. All right. Okay, so that's all the cam caps in, as you can see, all in the right number. Now, I haven't torqued anything down yet because I just want to do a final check and make sure that you know, the marks here are right and the number of pins are right. Okay. All right, so the marks seem to be dead on there and there. Let's just count these pins again. There should be 30. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right. So I'll stick the cam chain tensioner in, and then we'll give the engine a couple of rotations here, and see if everything still lines up. Okay. Okay, so here's the cam chain tensioner now. I have a new gasket for it, but I'm not going to stick a gasket in just yet to double check it. I just want to check that these are, you know, marks are all lining up and everything's fine. And I know there's top guides and stuff like that, and another part of a cam chain guide to go on yet. But I'll just put this cam chain tensioner in first, rotate this engine, and see how we go. All right, so that's a cam chain tensioner in that. It's only in temporary until I rotate this here, and see how that goes, and if all the marks line up. All right, so let's do this here. Now we're wanting to get that line there back lined up with that, and we're wanting to get those two marks there. It's hard to see it, but there's a little mark just there lined up with that, and the same over there. So let's do this. This will be the first time this engine has been turned over since it was put together. And as I say, the cam chain tensioner is just in temporary. So everything is turning, which is always a good thing. Okay. Right, okay, sorry my hand's a bit shaky there, but bring that line up to there. Let us see, is that right? Oh, that looks pretty good there. Right, so let's see these two lines. I'll move the flashlight over and see. Yep, you can see that there? That's lining up. See that one? Yeah. That's lining up there. That's lining up there perfectly. And that is lining up there with that wee mark. I'll just put that back again there. You can see it. See there? That wee mark there. Yep. So that's dead on. I'll get round here, and the two lobes are pointing away from one another. So that looks to be a success. All right, guys, and just want to make sure that everyone knows that I did lubricate the bearings of the you know, the bearing areas of the cams themselves, and underneath each of the cam caps before I put them on, and also in the head itself. I pointed all that out on the because you maybe only coming to this video and not really realizing this is part 2 of a 2-part video, and so none of these cams were put in dry, obviously, but it's just I think it was about the 27 minute mark on part 1, the part 1 video, that everything was lubricated. I'm using here Permatex Ultra Slick, and it's obviously being used. It's just being used for the lobes and the rockers, and then this mixture here, which is 10 parts engine oil and 1 part of the Permatex, so it's much thinner, and it goes underneath each one of those caps and on the cams and in the bearing areas of the head itself before any of those were installed and torqued down. Okay, guys, thanks a million. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the cam brackets and the upper cam chain guide. There's a difference between the two of them here. This one here, you know, I mean, this one goes to the inside, this one goes to the outside, and this one here, you'll see underneath it has provision for, you know, there's dowels. These are the bigger dowels here, same as used for all the cam caps. So that's how you know, will tell the difference. So let's get this installed and see how we get on. All right, so let's get this part of the cam bracket in here. There's 2 different parts well, there's a number of different parts to it, but this one here, the bigger holes, locates over those dowels. Okay, so there's that, and then the 2 smaller bolts go in there and there. Okay, and then there's 2 tiny little dowels there and there. They go in to there and to there. Okay, and then this other outer part of the bracket, it goes on, and this part of it here goes to the inside like that. All right, and then there's 2 huge, well, huge, they're long, very long screws. They go in there like that, and like that. All right, so I'll just put all these here in, and then there's an upper cam chain guide to go on. All right, okay, so now I can tighten all the cam cap bolts up. They were all just nipped up there, you know, until I so starting with this one here, which is according to the manual, number 1, they're 12 Newton meters, but and then this one then this one, this one, then this one. Yep. Then I think, let me see, no, this one. Then this one. This one. This one. Then this one. And these two. Now these two. And then these two. Okay, so that's them all. Okay, so now the next part is this here upper cam chain guide. It just goes on there like that. And there's three wee screws here to go on. There they are. I'll just put some thread lock on them. Let us see, I'll maybe put some red thread lock on those, because it would be a bit of a disaster if they came out. All right. And again, those are 12 Newton meters. Okay. That's a footery one to get in. There it is. Last one is there. Okay, and it's there. We'll just nip these up with this first, and then torque them up to 12 Newton meters, like all the rest. Torque wrench. Yep, that's at 12. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so now I can take the rotor plate back off to get the bottom chain guide on, and it'll be, obviously the rotor will be going back on again when I'm done, but I'll not be putting it on just yet. So I can take that off there. This is the bottom chain guide. It goes in there like that. And there's two wee screws, two wee tiny screws. There, I'll put a wee bit of red thread lock on those. They're just 9.8 Newton meters. And the other one is the same. Goes on there like that. Where's my screwdriver? Just tighten those up to 9.8. And then after that, the last thing to do is to put the cam chain tensioner in properly. Let me see, 9.8. Perfect. That's it. There's no point in putting the rotor. Well, I suppose it could, like, you know, but I mean, is there really any point in putting it on? I'm going to have to take it off again to put the pickup sensor and all there. But no, I'll just put this here in just so it doesn't get lost. All right, let's just do the cam chain tensioner, and that's it. Okay, so let's fit the cam chain tensioner properly. Didn't really explain it very well the last time. I just fitted it because I just want to get the cam chain on. But anyway, this is the stock cam chain tensioner. You know, it's an automatic one, has little sort of, you know, positions there on it where it would go to once the chain loosens. It automatically goes to the next position. Obviously, I have a new gasket for it here that I'm going to fit, and then there's this wee plunger, a spring, and copper washer. That's not the stock screw for it. Stock screw is a steel one, but I made this one here in titanium a number of years ago. So I'll be obviously using that one there. So anyway, I'm going to fit it. Just put a wee drop of oil on it here to you know, lubricate it before it goes in, and then put the new gasket on. You know, yeah. So there you are. Okay, so we'll fit that. Here's the new gasket here. I've cleaned the surface of where it's going, and let's get this fitted. Okay. All right, so let's fit this cam chain tensioner. I have the surface of that all cleaned and prepared. Of the gasket already on this here. I always just like to put a wee smear of grease around them, and as you can see, the plunger part of the main body of the cam chain tensioner is already installed. You always put this part here in first, and you put it that you'll see there that there's you see that all right? There's like a wee arrow on it there. There's a wee arrow on it there and a wee white dot usually. And so anyway, that's the way that goes in, like that, fully retracted with a gasket on and that in. Okay, I've got two titanium screws here, and these here, you don't, I mean, these are replacements for the you know, the stock steel ones. Put a wee bit of blue thread lock on these first, and they are tension to it's 10 Newton meters for these two. So we'll get these here in now just right away. Okay, I'll just nip them up here first with this. Let's see. All right. That's a handy wee ratchet there. All right. Now, as I say, they're just they're 10 Newton meters. Let's see. They're 10 Newton meters, which is there. Oh, you can't see it. Okay. So next thing is, like I was saying here, I machined this titanium replacement cap screw, and we've got a pin, a push pin here, push pin, and we've got a spring. So we'll put the and we've also got, I can't remember, forget that, we've also got this copper washer. So we'll put the copper washer on there. We'll put the we'll put the spring in, and we'll put the pin inside the spring there, like that. All right, and then that goes into there's like a little recess within the cam chain tensioner itself, and whenever the pressure goes on this here, that push pin will push the plunger out so that it engages in its correct notch and pushes the rear cam chain tensioner against the cam chain. All right, did you hear that little noise there of it going out? Okay, so that is just tightened up to 20 Newton meters. I always like the copper washer to be bang on the middle of the flange of the screw, and you know, just so that it's just, I'm just being fussy, you know, but I just like it being right. If there's any kind of margin around it at all, I just like it to be right. Just nip it up here with this, and then it's 20 Newton meters, and then that'll be that done. 20 Newton meters. There you go. That's another wee job done. Okay. Okay, so I suppose one of the final things I need to do is to check the valve shim clearance. Again, after having put the original shims in that were there before the engine was dismantled, they're bound to have changed. I would be very surprised if they weren't. And as you can see here, the you know, they're given in the manual the spec for the exhaust valve. It ranges between 0.18 to 0.24 millimeters, and for the inlet it's 0.13 to 0.19. So I'll just measure those, and you know, just to sort of, you know, see what the reading is now, you know, and like I say, I mean, they will for sure be different. And also, I just want to point something out here in the manual. You can see here where the where you put the feeler gauge in here, and it goes between the bottom of the rocker and the top of the shim. That's where you actually measure it. It actually says here, look, using a thickness gauge, that's a feeler gauge, measure the valve clearance between the rocker arm and the shim. So that's, you know, I mean, that's according to the actual Kawasaki shop manual. And you know, I mean, I have seen some people suggest that no, you put the feeler gauge in here between the lobe of the cam and the on the top of the rocker arm, but that's not what it's actually saying here in the manual. And that's the drawing here and illustration shows that. But anyway, let's just check these here. And and another thing, also, well, you turn the you know, when you turn the piston top dead center for pistons 4, you know, I mean, these are the ones here that you measure on both the inlet and the exhaust, and then when you turn the, you know, the rotate the engine again for piston 1 at top dead center, these are the ones, you know, and you know, so we'll check those and see if they have changed. Pretty sure they will do. Okay. Okay, so let's just check these here. Now, as I say, on the spec, given that the tightest clearance is 0.18, we will. Okay, so let's just check these here. Now, as I say, given on the spec for the exhaust valves, the tightest clearance is 0.18. And given that this is a top dead center for cylinder 4, 0.18 being the tightest, let's see if we can get it in here and see. No, it's too tight. It's too tight there. And like I was saying, I know some people stick the feeler gauge in there, but so that's too tight. So we'll have to switch that out. That is a 2.6 millimeter shim. We'll have to switch it out. And like I was also saying in the part 1 of this 2-part video series, to do it while the cams are in, you have to slide the rocker to the one side. And I'll do that and let you see. Okay, so what you normally do is you can slide this rocker. Oh, my fingers are going to get in the way, but you can slide it like that, and then you can hook it on there like that, and that allows you to, you know, take the shim out with this tool like that. Okay, so we'll just replace that then with a 2.55 replacement shim. Okay, so this is a 2.55 replacement shim, and it's on my little tool here that I'm going to just use to put it back in again. A little bit more awkward whenever you're okay, so the 2.60 millimeter shim has been removed, and I'm going to put a 2.55 one in and see if we can get the proper clearance. It's a wee bit more awkward to do with the you know, the cams in, but needs to be done. Okay, so we just put the rocker back in place like that, and we'll just try that again to see what clearance we've got. Okay, so we've got two here. 0.18 is just too loose, 0.23 and 0.20. Try the 0.23. No, that won't go in, that's too tight. 0.20, which would put it beautifully in the spec. That's it. Okay, so that's 0.20, and that's perfectly in spec, because the spec for the exhaust cam valves shims is 0.18 to 0.24, so that's perfect. Okay, I'll just have to I'll just work my way through all of these here, and you know, just replace them as necessary, because if one's like that, I dare say they're all going to be like that. Okay, so I made another chart to check them all, because we wouldn't have been in the room to you know, do it all on the first one. This is the first. This is the one that that had the original the shims in before I dismantle the engine, and you can see the size of shims that were in and the size of clearances I was getting, which was what I noted. This is the new chart. I've changed all the shims out, and you can see that I've got what clearances I've got. Like I moved typically that 2.60 shim to a 2.55 shim, and that gave me 0.20 of a clearance, and that seemed to be typical of them all. I mean, there, for example, it was a 2.75 shim in originally. I moved and it was giving me 0.18 clearance, which was just within spec, and then I moved the 2.75 shim to a 2.70 shim, and it gave me 0.20 clearance. So that seems to be typical, and they all, well, more or less all. The only one that I'm going to check it again. The only one that I see that remained the same was this one here on the inlet. It has a 2.65 shim, giving me 0.15 of clearance, and that one that remains the same. But I think out of them all, that's the only one. But I'll double check it just to make sure. But anyway, I knew it would be the case, because I mean, you're not going to be redoing a head and lapping in the valves, and all the valve clearances remain exactly the same. So anyway, just thought I would get that all done. I'm glad to see it too. Okay, thank you. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for today. There's not an awful lot left to finish off this engine here. You know, the cams are in and they're timed. The valve clearances are done and they're all perfectly within spec. Cam chain tensioners on. A couple of other little things to do to completely button it up. But, you know, I mean, I have rotated the engine a number of times there to get the, you know, to do the valve clearances. You can see here that my mark for, you know, 1 and 4 lines perfectly on the plate with the wee mark on the cases. And then when you come up to the top here, I will, let me see if I can do this. You see a wee mark there in the background? I'll get a light on it here. There you go. There's a tiny wee tick there with a bit of paint on it just below the in. That lines up perfectly with the top of the cylinder head. And then when you come over to here, we've got another wee mark just where the white paint is on it, just below the EX, perfectly flush with the top of the cylinder head. And we've got 30 pins there counted over from one mark to the other. And yeah, so it's not really not far away at all now, and hope you really enjoyed it and got something from it. And as they say, stay tuned for the next one. Okay guys, bye.